Few minutes left. Heaven is moving in your love story. My beloved child, don't skip this message. Before this day slips away, allow your heart to become still for just a few moments. Life has a way of filling our minds with noise, questions, and endless uncertainty. We wonder why certain prayers seem unanswered. We wonder why some doors remain closed while others unexpectedly open. Yet in the middle of all these questions, God continues to invite you into something greater than certainty. He invites you into trust. If your heart has been carrying hope for love, healing, or reconciliation, let these next moments remind you that God is always at work, even when His work cannot yet be seen. Listen carefully, because this chapter is not about chasing signs or living in fear of missing your moment. It is about remembering that heaven's greatest work often begins quietly. Long before the sunrise colors the sky, the morning is already on its way. Long before a flower blossoms, unseen roots have been growing beneath the soil. In the same way, God often prepares hearts long before visible change appears. What feels like waiting may actually be a season of preparation, where wisdom is growing, faith is deepening, and character is being refined. Perhaps you have prayed countless times for your love story. Perhaps you have whispered those prayers through tears, wondering whether anyone was listening. My beloved child, never believe that sincere prayers disappear into silence. God hears every word spoken in faith. Sometimes His answer arrives in ways we never expected. Sometimes He strengthens us before He changes our circumstances. Sometimes He teaches us lessons that become the very foundation for healthier relationships in the future. His work is always guided by perfect wisdom, even when we cannot immediately understand His timing. Stay until the end, because this changes everything. Many people believe that love is sustained by emotion alone, but emotion rises and falls like the tide. Lasting love is strengthened by truth, patience, humility, forgiveness, and faithfulness. These qualities cannot be manufactured overnight. They grow through ordinary moments, through honest conversations, consistent actions, and the willingness to choose grace when life becomes difficult. If you desire a relationship that honors God, begin by allowing Him to cultivate these qualities within your own heart. Imagine a shepherd walking patiently beside his flock as evening approaches. He never rushes them through dangerous paths, nor does he abandon them when the road becomes steep. Instead, He leads them with wisdom, protecting them from what they cannot yet see. God's guidance often works in the same way. There may be moments when you wish He would move more quickly, yet His pace is always shaped by love rather than urgency. He sees the turns in the road long before you arrive there, and He prepares you for each step with care. Listen carefully, because your heart needs this reminder today. Your worth has never depended on another person's choices. It has never been determined by whether someone noticed your kindness, appreciated your loyalty, or recognized your value. Your identity is rooted in the God who created you, who knows every part of your story, and who loves you with an everlasting love. When that truth settles deeply within your heart, fear begins to lose its power. You stop chasing approval because you discover that you have always been fully known and deeply loved by Him. Perhaps the greatest movement of heaven in your love story is not something happening around you but something happening within you. Every day that you choose forgiveness over bitterness, peace over panic, and faith over fear, your heart is becoming more prepared for the future God has for you. Transformation often begins inside before it becomes visible outside. The strongest relationships are built by people who have first allowed God to shape their own hearts. My beloved child, continue praying with sincerity, but also continue living with purpose. Do not place your entire life on hold while waiting for tomorrow. Continue growing in wisdom. Continue serving others with kindness. Continue becoming someone whose words bring healing and whose actions reflect integrity. Every act of faithfulness becomes another stone in the foundation God is building beneath your life. One day you may look back on this season and realize that what felt like a delay was actually divine preparation. The patience you learned protected your peace. The wisdom you gained helped you recognize healthier choices. The faith you developed carried you through moments that once would have overwhelmed you. Nothing that God teaches with love is ever wasted. So take a deep breath, my beloved child. Release your fears into God's hands. Walk into the rest of this day with quiet confidence, knowing that He remains faithful whether the path ahead feels clear or uncertain. Continue trusting Him one step at a time, because the story He is writing is not only about where your journey leads. It is also about the person you are becoming along the way. And when your heart is shaped by His love, every chapter, whether joyful or challenging, becomes part of a greater testimony of His grace. My beloved child, if you are still listening, then perhaps your heart has been searching for something deeper than an answer. Perhaps what you truly long for is the assurance that your life is still held securely in God's hands. The world often measures progress by visible results, but heaven often works in ways that cannot be measured by human eyes. Before the tallest tree reaches toward the sky, its roots spend years growing in silence. Before a beautiful melody is heard, every note must first be carefully written. In the same way, God often prepares your heart long before you recognize what He is doing. Listen carefully, because this chapter carries a lesson that many people miss. There are moments when you may feel forgotten simply because nothing around you seems to be changing. But God's faithfulness has never depended on how quickly circumstances improve. His presence remains constant in every season. He is with you during joyful celebrations, quiet mornings, difficult nights, and every moment in between. Even when you cannot trace His plan, you can continue to trust His character, because His love has never failed. Stay until the end, because this changes everything. Sometimes we ask God to reveal the entire journey, while He gently gives us only enough light for the next faithful step. If He revealed every chapter today, you might miss the lessons that today's chapter was designed to teach. Faith grows when you continue walking even while the road bends beyond your sight. Trust deepens when you choose hope instead of fear, not because you know what tomorrow holds, but because you know who walks beside you. My beloved child, there is another truth your heart needs to remember. Never compare your journey to someone else's. Every life unfolds according to its own season. Some people experience quick victories, while others are strengthened through longer periods of growth. Neither journey is forgotten by God. He works with wisdom, patience, and perfect understanding, shaping every life according to His purpose. Your story is unique, and every chapter carries meaning even when you cannot yet see the ending. Imagine standing beside a river after a heavy storm. At first the water seems restless, carrying leaves and branches in every direction. Yet as time passes, the current becomes calm again, and the surface begins reflecting the beauty of the sky above. Your heart is much like that river. There may be seasons of confusion, disappointment, or uncertainty, but God's peace has the power to calm what once felt overwhelming. His presence restores clarity little by little until hope begins to shine again. Listen carefully, because your soul may need this reminder today. The greatest work God often performs is not changing every situation around you. It is strengthening the person within you. He teaches patience where frustration once lived. He plants courage where fear once ruled. He fills empty places with compassion, wisdom, and peace. These quiet changes become part of your character, and they remain long after circumstances have changed. Perhaps today is not about receiving every answer you hoped for. Perhaps today is about learning to rest in the confidence that God has never stopped guiding your steps. Continue praying with sincerity. Continue choosing kindness. Continue speaking words that bring healing rather than division. Continue trusting that every act of faithfulness has value, even when no one else notices. Heaven rejoices over every heart that continues to seek God with humility and hope. My beloved child, do not allow disappointment to convince you that your future has already been decided. Every sunrise is another reminder that God's mercy is new. Every breath is another opportunity to grow in faith. Every challenge carries the possibility of becoming a testimony that encourages someone else one day. The road behind you has taught valuable lessons, but it does not determine the beauty of the road still ahead. One day you will look back and recognize that even the seasons you questioned became part of God's loving work in your life. The waiting strengthened your patience. The uncertainty deepened your faith. The difficult moments refined your character. What once seemed like an obstacle became part of the path that led you closer to Him. Looking back, you will see that His grace was present in every chapter, even the ones you struggled to understand. So walk forward with confidence, my beloved child. Keep your eyes on God rather than on uncertainty. Let your heart remain open to His wisdom, your spirit remain anchored in His peace, and your life become a reflection of His love. The story is still unfolding, and while you may not know every page that lies ahead, you can trust the author who writes every chapter with perfect love, endless mercy, and unfailing faithfulness. My beloved child, if your heart has remained here until this moment, then do not let these words pass by too quickly. Slow down for just a little while and allow yourself to breathe in the quiet assurance that God has never stopped walking beside you. Even when life has felt uncertain, even when your prayers seem to echo into silence, and even when your heart struggled to understand what was happening, His presence remained closer than your next breath. There has never been a single day when He looked away from your journey. Listen carefully, because this chapter carries a truth that can transform the way you see every season of your life. We often believe that the greatest miracles are the ones we can immediately recognize. We celebrate the doors that suddenly open and the prayers that receive quick answers. Yet many of God's deepest works happen quietly, hidden beneath the surface where only He can see. He restores hope before circumstances change. He strengthens faith before the breakthrough arrives. He fills weary hearts with courage long before the road becomes easy. These unseen gifts become the foundation that allows us to stand firm when life continues to test us. Stay until the end, because this message is about something far greater than simply reaching a destination. God is interested in the condition of your heart every step of the way. He desires to shape you into someone who reflects His patience, His compassion, His wisdom, and His love. A relationship built upon these qualities becomes stronger than one built only upon emotion. Feelings may change with time, but character remains. The love that reflects God's heart is willing to listen, willing to forgive, willing to grow, and willing to remain faithful even during seasons of uncertainty. My beloved child, perhaps there have been moments when disappointment whispered that your prayers no longer mattered. Perhaps you questioned whether heaven was listening at all. But remember this: God hears every sincere prayer, even when the answer is different from what you expected or comes at a time you did not anticipate. His wisdom reaches beyond the limits of our understanding. While we often focus on immediate outcomes, He sees the entire journey, including the lessons that will prepare us for the future. Imagine a craftsman carefully carving a beautiful sculpture from a solid block of stone. Every careful movement removes something that does not belong so that the masterpiece hidden inside can finally be seen. At times the process may appear difficult, but every cut serves a purpose. In much the same way, God patiently shapes our hearts. He removes bitterness so that compassion can grow. He replaces fear with trust. He transforms pride into humility and uncertainty into quiet confidence. What He is creating within you is far more valuable than anything temporary. Listen carefully, because there is another reminder your heart may need today. Never allow fear to become the loudest voice in your life. Fear focuses on everything that might go wrong, but faith remembers everything God has already brought you through. Think about the seasons you once believed you would never survive. Think about the challenges that seemed impossible at the time. Yet here you are, still standing, still growing, still learning, and still surrounded by God's grace. That same grace will continue to sustain you in every chapter that lies ahead. My beloved child, continue choosing kindness even when others misunderstand you. Continue speaking truth with gentleness. Continue offering forgiveness while also walking in wisdom. Continue praying not only for the things you desire but also for the strength to become the person God is calling you to be. A heart surrendered to Him becomes a source of peace wherever it goes. The world desperately needs people whose lives reflect hope instead of fear and compassion instead of judgment. Perhaps today is an invitation to stop measuring your life by what has not yet happened and begin thanking God for the ways He is already at work within you. Gratitude changes the way we see the journey. It reminds us that every sunrise is a gift, every breath is an opportunity, and every new day offers another chance to grow in faith. When gratitude fills your heart, discouragement begins to lose its power. One day, as you look back over the pages of your life, you may discover that the moments you once wanted to escape became the very moments that shaped your strongest faith. You may realize that every delay taught patience, every disappointment taught compassion, and every unanswered question encouraged you to trust God more deeply. Those lessons will remain long after the circumstances themselves have faded into memory. They will become part of the testimony you carry for the rest of your life. So walk boldly into tomorrow, my beloved child. Let hope become stronger than fear. Let faith become louder than doubt. Let love become greater than resentment. Keep your eyes fixed on God's goodness, and continue moving forward one faithful step at a time. The story of your life is still being written, and the author who began this work in you remains faithful. Whatever tomorrow brings, you can face it with confidence, knowing that His mercy is new every morning, His wisdom never fails, and His love will remain with you through every chapter until the very end. My beloved child, if you are still here, then perhaps God is inviting you to hear one more reminder before you continue your journey. There are seasons when the heart becomes tired from carrying questions that have no immediate answers. You wonder whether your prayers have been heard, whether your hopes still matter, and whether tomorrow will look different from today. Yet even in those moments, God's invitation remains the same: trust me with what you cannot yet understand. Faith is not the absence of questions. Faith is choosing to keep walking with God even while the questions remain. Listen carefully, because this chapter may speak directly to the deepest part of your soul. There is a difference between waiting with fear and waiting with faith. Fear keeps your eyes fixed on everything that could go wrong. Faith keeps your eyes fixed on the God who has carried you through every challenge before. Think back to the moments when you believed you would never recover. Remember the days when you thought your strength had reached its end. Yet somehow God provided peace, wisdom, and courage for one more day. That same God has not changed. His faithfulness did not end yesterday, and it will not end tomorrow. Stay until the end, because this changes the way you see your entire journey. Heaven's greatest work is often not found in dramatic moments that everyone can see. It is found in quiet victories that happen inside the heart. It is the moment bitterness is replaced with forgiveness. It is the moment anxiety gives way to peace. It is the moment you choose kindness after being hurt, hope after disappointment, and trust after uncertainty. These victories may never make headlines, but they are precious in the sight of God because they reveal a heart that is becoming more like His. My beloved child, never believe that your life has been placed on hold simply because one prayer has not yet unfolded the way you expected. Every day still carries purpose. Every sunrise still brings opportunities to grow, to encourage someone else, to learn, to forgive, and to love. Sometimes we become so focused on reaching one destination that we overlook the countless blessings God places along the road. Do not miss today's grace while worrying about tomorrow's possibilities. Imagine a lighthouse standing firmly against crashing waves. Storms come and go, winds rise and fall, yet the light continues shining through the darkness. The lighthouse does not panic because the storm has arrived. It continues fulfilling its purpose. God calls His children to live with that same steady faith. Circumstances may change, emotions may rise and fall, but His light within you can continue shining through every season. Someone else may one day find hope simply because you refuse to let fear extinguish your faith. Listen carefully, because there is another truth your heart needs today. Healthy love is never built through pressure or fear. It grows where honesty is welcomed, respect is mutual, and both people are willing to grow in grace. Pray that your own heart continues becoming a place where these qualities flourish. As you grow in wisdom and compassion, you become better prepared for every relationship God places in your life, whatever form that relationship may take. Perhaps today is also an invitation to release the habit of trying to control every outcome. There are burdens that belong in God's hands, not yours. You can pray faithfully without carrying constant anxiety. You can hope sincerely without becoming consumed by uncertainty. You can move forward with confidence because your security rests not in knowing every answer but in knowing the one who faithfully guides every step. My beloved child, continue building a life that reflects God's goodness. Let your words bring encouragement. Let your actions reveal integrity. Let your heart remain humble enough to keep learning and strong enough to keep loving. The greatest testimony you will ever share is not a perfect life but a faithful life. One that continues trusting God through joy, through sorrow, through waiting, and through celebration. One day you will recognize that even the chapters you once wished to skip became part of the beautiful story God was writing within you. The seasons of waiting taught patience. The disappointments produced compassion. The unanswered questions strengthened your dependence upon Him. Looking back, you will realize that He was never absent. He was quietly preparing your heart for deeper faith, greater wisdom, and lasting peace. So lift your eyes, my beloved child, and continue walking with confidence. Let your heart remain anchored in God's promises found in Scripture, your mind filled with hope instead of fear, and your spirit strengthened by His unfailing love. Whatever tomorrow brings, remember that God walks beside those who seek Him with sincere hearts. The pages ahead have not yet been turned, but you can face them with courage because the author of your life is faithful, His mercy is new every morning, and His love will remain with you through every chapter until your journey is complete. My beloved child, if you have stayed with this message until now, then perhaps your heart is beginning to understand something beautiful. The greatest gift God offers is not the ability to know every detail of tomorrow. It is the promise that you will never face tomorrow alone. Every step you take, every prayer you whisper, every tear you cry, and every moment you place your trust in Him is seen. Nothing in your journey is unnoticed. Even the chapters that seem quiet are filled with His presence, gently leading you toward greater wisdom and deeper faith. Listen carefully, because there is a lesson that can transform the way you see your life. We often ask God to remove every difficulty, but sometimes He allows us to walk through challenges because they shape us into people who reflect His love more clearly. Gold is refined by fire, and strong faith is often strengthened through seasons of testing. This does not mean God delights in your struggles. It means He is able to bring hope, courage, and purpose even from the moments that seem hardest to understand. Stay until the end, because this changes everything. If your heart has been praying about love, remember that the strongest relationships are not built by perfect people. They are built by people who are willing to grow, forgive, communicate honestly, and seek God's wisdom together. Lasting love is not sustained by excitement alone. It is sustained by daily choices, choosing patience over anger, kindness over harshness, understanding over assumptions, and faith over fear. Those choices create a foundation that can endure every season of life. My beloved child, perhaps you have spent too much time believing that your story depends entirely upon one moment or one person. But your story has always belonged to God. He has been writing it since the day you first opened your eyes. Every chapter has carried lessons that prepared you for the next. Even the chapters filled with disappointment have taught you compassion. Even the seasons of waiting have strengthened your endurance. Nothing has been meaningless in His hands. Imagine a river flowing through a valley. It does not become discouraged because rocks stand in its path. Instead, it patiently moves around them, shaping the landscape little by little until even the hardest stone bears the marks of its steady journey. God's work in your life is often like that river. His grace continues flowing, gently shaping your heart day after day. You may not notice every change, but over time His work becomes impossible to deny. Listen carefully, because your heart needs this reminder today. Do not allow yesterday's pain to become tomorrow's expectation. Every new morning is an invitation to trust again, to hope again, and to believe that God can continue doing good work within you. While no one can promise exactly how your future will unfold, you can confidently trust that God's love, wisdom, and presence will remain with you through every season. My beloved child, continue becoming someone who reflects heaven's values wherever you go. Speak with gentleness. Walk with humility. Show compassion freely. Offer forgiveness wisely. Let your life become a source of encouragement for people who have forgotten what hope feels like. Sometimes the greatest miracle is a heart that continues choosing love after experiencing disappointment. That kind of faith becomes a light that others cannot ignore. Perhaps this very season is preparing you for conversations you have not yet imagined, opportunities you cannot yet see, and blessings that will arrive in God's perfect timing. Until then, continue growing. Continue learning. Continue trusting. The waiting is never empty when God is using it to strengthen your spirit. Every lesson you embrace today becomes part of the wisdom you will carry into tomorrow. One day, when you look back over every chapter of your life, you will not remember only the moments when everything went according to your plans. You will also remember the times when God gave you peace in uncertainty, strength in weakness, and hope when you thought all hope had disappeared. Those moments will become the testimony that encourages others to keep believing through their own difficult seasons. So walk forward with confidence, my beloved child. Do not be afraid of what you cannot yet see. Keep your eyes fixed on God, your heart open to His guidance, and your hands ready to serve with love. Let faith become stronger than your doubts, gratitude become louder than your worries, and hope become the song that carries you into every new day. The journey is still unfolding, and while you cannot yet read the final chapter, you can trust the author who writes every page with perfect wisdom, endless mercy, and unfailing love. Continue walking faithfully, for God's presence will always be your greatest strength, and His peace will continue to guide your heart wherever the road may lead. My beloved child, if your heart has remained with this message until now, then receive these next words with quiet expectation. Life often teaches us to believe that if we cannot see immediate progress, then nothing is happening. But God reminds us that some of His greatest work takes place where human eyes cannot reach. Just as roots grow deeper beneath the earth before a tree reaches higher into the sky, your faith is being strengthened in ways you may not yet recognize. Every prayer, every act of obedience, and every decision to trust Him is shaping a future built upon a stronger foundation than you can imagine today. Listen carefully, because this chapter carries a lesson that can change your perspective forever. We often ask God to hurry because our hearts grow weary of waiting. Yet God sees what we cannot. He knows which conversations still need wisdom, which hearts still need healing, and which lessons still need to be learned. His timing is never careless, and his love is never rushed. What feels like a delay may actually be his protection, keeping you from stepping into something before you are fully prepared to receive it. Stay until the end, because this truth deserves your full attention. Every season has a purpose. Seasons of joy teach gratitude. Seasons of loss teach compassion. Seasons of waiting teach endurance. Seasons of uncertainty teach dependence on God rather than on our own understanding. None of these chapters are meaningless. Together they form a story that reflects not only what God has done around you but what He has done within you. The heart He is shaping today will influence every relationship, every decision, and every opportunity that comes tomorrow. My beloved child, never allow disappointment to convince you that your prayers have been forgotten. The God who counts the stars also knows every concern hidden within your heart. He understands your hopes, your fears, and the dreams you have not shared with anyone else. Even when answers seem delayed, His attention has never left you. He remains close to those who seek Him with sincerity, offering wisdom for each step and strength for every challenge. Imagine standing at the edge of a forest just before sunrise. The darkness still covers the trees, and for a moment it appears as though nothing is changing. Then slowly, almost unnoticed, the first rays of light begin to touch the horizon. The shadows lose their power, colors begin to return, and what once seemed uncertain becomes visible. God's guidance often arrives like that sunrise. Not always in dramatic moments, but through steady, faithful light that grows brighter as you continue walking with Him. Listen carefully, because your heart needs this reminder today. Do not let fear write the story that only God has the wisdom to write. Fear imagines endings before the journey is complete. Faith continues moving forward one step at a time, believing that God can bring good even from situations that seem difficult to understand. Faith is not pretending that life is easy. It is choosing to trust God's character when circumstances remain unclear. My beloved child, continue becoming someone who reflects the love of Christ in ordinary moments. Encourage those who feel discouraged. Forgive wisely without ignoring truth. Show kindness without expecting recognition. Speak words that build others up rather than tear them down. These quiet acts of faith often become the strongest testimony of God's work in your life. Long after people forget your accomplishments, they will remember the love you showed them. Perhaps this season is inviting you to release expectations that have become heavier than hope itself. Instead of demanding to know every answer, ask God to give you a heart that remains faithful whatever tomorrow brings. His peace is not reserved only for people who have every question answered. It is given to those who choose to trust Him through every unanswered question. That peace becomes an anchor when emotions rise and circumstances shift. One day you may look back on this chapter with gratitude instead of confusion. You may realize that the waiting taught you patience, the uncertainty strengthened your faith, and the quiet moments became places where you learned to hear God's voice more clearly. Looking back, you will recognize that He never stopped guiding you. Every step, every lesson, and every prayer became part of a story that revealed His faithfulness again and again. So continue walking forward, my beloved child. Lift your eyes toward the One who never changes. Let His word shape your thoughts, let His peace guard your heart, and let His love guide every decision you make. Trust Him with the chapters you have already lived, with the pages you are living now, and with the chapters still waiting to be written. The journey is not over. The author of your story is still writing, and every page He writes is filled with wisdom, mercy, grace, and unfailing love. Walk into tomorrow with confidence, knowing that wherever your path leads, God will remain your constant guide, your faithful companion, and your everlasting source of hope. My beloved child, if your heart is still here, then let these moments become a quiet sanctuary from the noise surrounding you. Every day the world urges you to hurry, to compare your journey with others, and to measure your life by what has or has not happened. But God gently calls you to something different. He calls you to walk by faith, not by fear. He reminds you that your value is not measured by how quickly your prayers seem to be answered but by the unchanging love He has for you. That love has carried you through every difficult chapter, and it will continue to guide you through the pages that are still waiting to be written. Listen carefully, because this truth has the power to strengthen your spirit. There are seasons when God allows us to slow down, not because He has forgotten us, but because He is preparing us. A builder never rushes the foundation of a great house. The stronger the foundation, the stronger the home will stand when storms arrive. In the same way, God desires to build within you a heart that remains faithful during both joyful seasons and difficult ones. Patience, humility, forgiveness, and wisdom are not learned overnight. They are developed one faithful step at a time. Stay until the end, because this chapter carries a reminder your soul may need today. Many people spend their lives chasing certainty, yet faith grows strongest when we choose to trust God without seeing the entire road ahead. Imagine walking through a valley just before dawn. At first, the path seems hidden, and every step requires courage. But as the sun slowly rises, you begin to realize that God has been guiding you all along. The path was always there. The light simply revealed it at the right time. His guidance often comes in that same quiet, steady way. My beloved child, never underestimate the importance of the person you are becoming during this season. Every time you choose kindness over anger, every time you forgive instead of holding on to bitterness, every time you pray instead of giving in to despair, your heart is becoming stronger. These choices may seem unnoticed by the world, but they are never unnoticed by God. They are shaping a character that reflects His grace and His love. Perhaps your heart has been carrying questions about love, about relationships, or about what the future may hold. It is natural to wonder about these things. Yet remember that the healthiest love grows where two people are willing to practice honesty, respect, humility, and genuine care for one another. Pray not only for the relationships you hope for but also for the wisdom to recognize what is healthy, life-giving, and rooted in truth. Trust God to guide your steps with wisdom, even when the future remains uncertain. Listen carefully, because there is another lesson hidden within this journey. Sometimes we become so focused on reaching the next chapter that we forget to appreciate the blessings already surrounding us. The friend who encourages you. The family member who prays for you. The quiet moments when peace unexpectedly fills your heart. The opportunities to help someone who is struggling. These everyday gifts remind us that God's goodness is present not only in extraordinary moments but also in ordinary ones. Imagine standing beside an old olive tree that has weathered countless seasons. It has endured strong winds, heavy rain, and scorching summers, yet it continues to bear fruit because its roots run deep. God desires that kind of steady faith for you. A faith that is not shaken by every challenge, not discouraged by every delay, and not dependent on perfect circumstances.